By clicking the link in the stream's description. The professor wants to hear from you.
Beginnings on the cusp, not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup, something dirty in my cup. Clean soul, good car.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back and focus on what's in front of me. Everybody dates a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Isn't it lovely?
Welcome, and thank you for coming into the Wrestling Forest once again. I am Professor Bear, and this is A Bear's Thought. And today, our episode is sponsored by Chops, Cards, and Print on Demands. When you were little and you started seeing all these different sports cards, did you have a dream about having your own? Well, without doing all the hard work of trying to be a professional baseball player, football player, basketball player, wrestling, you can have your own card. Yes, Chops Cards can make you one of the great cards of all time. Their quality is top notch, with so many great different backgrounds and facts that you would not think it was not legitimate. And because you know your professor, he is going to get you 15% off your entire purchase. Yes, 15%. All you need to do is put in Bear 15 and it will take 15% off your entire purchase. That is Chops, Cards, and Print on Demand, your number one source of cards and print designs. Well, today I am blessed to have such a special guest with me. I have the Turn 33 owner, the boss lady, aka Jessi Lee Joan. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, thank you for being on. So, I was told that, and we had this little discussion before, that a friend of mine actually works in your company.
Mm-hmm.
And that friend of mine is Brock Boulder. So
the Boulder.
I asked you what kind of a person he is, and you humbly said he's a great individual, which I know we can be honest here. I know he's a little but I still love him anyway. He's my guy.
He's a great dude. Him and Troy and everyone from that area. They've been fantastic to work with. Yes.
Oh, great. I love you, Brox and Troy. I don't know how you keep put up with them. But anyway, we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about you, ma'am. And the first question I always like to ask all my guests is, how did you get into wrestling?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? Okay, so I love telling this story because I came up through this a lot different than a lot of other people have. So if we rewind all the way back to when I was a little kid, toddler, my dad took me to the circus, and for the longest time, I said, when I grow up, I want to be an acrobat. And then as I got a little bit older, I got into dance when I was 9 years old, and I started taking dance and getting into theater and doing things like that. I decided when I hit high school, I was going to go into acting. So, took theater for 4 years, fell in love with it, started auditioning around to different colleges, and I ended up going to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia for college. And I got my bachelor's degree in theater arts with a creative writing minor. And one of the things that I learned my first year at UArts was stage combat. Everyone, all of the acting majors had to take it, and it just became my thing. So theatrical violence, sword fighting, knife fighting, all of that fun stuff. And the last week before I graduated, my stage combat professor came up to me and said, you know, you might do good in doing like stunt work for television. Is that something you'd be interested in? I said, absolutely. So he got me a scholarship, and I went out to Seattle for a month, a year after I graduated, and learned how to do stunt work, driving cars, getting set on fire, all that fun stuff. I'm on my way back from Seattle, and I get a text from one of my friends at the time and said, hey, I know this guy who owns a wrestling ring, and he's setting up in Spencer, which at the time was 45 minutes away from where I was living. And he said, you know, this might be something that you want to try. It kind of seems like it's up your alley, kind of in the same vein as stunts and whatnot. And I said, all right. So I showed up one day and I got bit by the wrestling bug. Did some very, very informal training on and off for a few years, got injured in an unrelated incident. And then in that downtime, I started Route 33 wrestling, and the rest is history, as they say.
Wow, that is definitely a different story,
Yeah, a little bit of the butterfly effect, a little bit.
right? So, with that being said, what drew you to start your own wrestling profession, promotion?
Gotcha. Well, during that time that I was doing all of the informal training, you know, I was in and out of the ring a little bit, but I was accompanying a lot of my friends to indie shows that they were booked on. And at this point, I had been to maybe like 2 or 3 events as a fan, actually sitting in the audience and watching. It wasn't something that I was doing regularly. So I was going with my friends and seeing sort of, for lack of a better term, the backstage aspect of it, you know, talking to the promoters and hearing about people not getting paid and things like that, and seeing like the different aspects of it that I kind of thought maybe could be done better. And this is kind of a weird thing that pops into my brain, but the one thing that really made me think of this is we were going to a show here in West Virginia somewhere, and the only signage they had up was one little tiny poster board like this big, lime green with Sharpie on the side of a road that said pro wrestling with a big arrow. And I thought, who's going to see that? Like, can we do better, you know? So there had been some talks in the friend group that I was in about potentially starting a company, and it was a lot of start and stop. And I decided to kind of get some business training so I could learn about the business aspect of things. And when I did get injured and kind of was forced to stop and stay home for a while, I used that time to really, really think about, okay, if this is something that I want to do, how can I make it better than what I've seen and experienced? And so the big push for me was finding a way to elevate the game a little bit. Which is really weird for me to say because, again, I didn't grow up watching wrestling. I was still relatively new. The only experience I had was seeing my friends do it and kind of, you know, absorbing their experience through them. And so when we started the following year, you know, my first thing was like, everyone's getting paid when they walk through the door. I had heard from my friends saying like, man, this guy promised me, you know, $50 or whatever. And then he disappeared after intermission and, you know, his Cash App wasn't working or whatever, you know? So that was like my first thing was I am not going to allow that to happen at my company. And so just from then on, snowballing, kind of learning from other people's experiences and from the people that walk through my doors as well. How can we improve? How can I make this better for you? And I've always said that my main goal in running events is that everyone who walks in through the door, whether they're a fan or a worker or a crew member, I want them to leave with a smile on their face. That's all that matters to me. If we've done that, then it's a success.
There's definitely a different take that I've heard from a promoter. But with that being said, have you ran across people who have the old school mentality of, oh no, you're doing it wrong, you should do it this way, that way, blah blah blah?
Oh yeah, quite a bit actually. And actually, the first event that we had somebody working who was newer, and it was fine. But I remember one of the guys pulling me aside, going, "Hey, do you want me to like run in and like knock this guy out?" And I said, "No, we're not running a crime syndicate here. Like, let him do his thing. It's okay, But yeah, I've heard people say, "Oh, they get like super involved in like, oh, how much are you paying this guy?" And I'm like, that's none of your business. Well, you shouldn't be paying him X amount because X, Y, and Z. And, oh, so-and-so works at this promotion and they don't like him. So we're not going to, that's definitely a thing. And I've heard a lot of it, unfortunately. And also like some other places that I've been, I see people, and I say this a lot, romanticizing, the good old days where, your first day of training, somebody goes in there and knocks you on your butt and gives you a concussion to see if you come back the next day. I don't believe in that. It should be fun for everybody. And, one of the things too that somebody had warned me very early on when I first started promoting was, what if you pay somebody and they don't show up? Or what if you pay somebody and they leave before their match or something happens? Okay, well, then I'm out X amount of dollars and they won't be back. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt whenever possible. But yeah, wrestling does tend to kind of have that mentality of like distrust and like, we're gonna rough you up if something bad happens or whatever. And everyone needs to relax, have a good time. Don't take it so seriously. We're in it for fun mainly. So.
Well, and with that being said too, unfortunately, wrestling carries a stigma for women also. So, and I know you have to have stories of what you're the owner and where's the guy, and you look, little lady, you don't know what you're doing. Let me take over and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. And I won't name names for obvious reasons, but there have been so many times where somebody wanting to work with us will reach out to my husband instead of me, and thankfully he's great about it. He's always like, "I'm not the owner. I have nothing to do with this. Go talk to her." And there's been a good little bit of misogyny here and there. I do remember a time where I was working and I was the only girl in the locker room, and there were a lot of jokes. And I can take a joke, I can take a rib. I have a pretty good sense of humor. I'll give me a dirty joke every now and then. But when it's the same joke over and over again for months on end, it's like, okay, there's more to me than that. Let's wrap it up. But yeah, and I will say this is a really specific story, and I hope this person's not watching because they will definitely get mad. But very early on, when I was kind of learning the ropes, I had somebody come up to me. They said, "I have this great idea for a gimmick for you, and I can't wait to tell you about it." And I was like, awesome, like somebody who knows what they're talking about. They're going to give me this idea. I'm going to run with it. Their idea, and I'll preface this by saying my favorite wrestler is Tajiri. Love the Japanese buzzsaw. They said, "Well, you love Tajiri, right? Well, what if you spray red mist once a month?" That was their idea. And I was like, bro, come on. I was so disappointed about that. Needless to say, that was not a gimmick that I, embodied ever. or ever will.
Oh
So
my
yeah, so there's been a little bit, but I will say for the most part, I mean, for every idiot that's out there, there's 20 awesome people who've been so accepting and so respectful. And I feel really lucky to know those people.
That's good. That's great to hear. Not good. It's great to hear. Um, I'm gonna go go on a side subject because I always like to get women's take on this with women wrestling and how it's starting to come into its own, being able to main event the big shows and having their own pay-per-view. What is your thoughts on where this is going for women in wrestling?
I think if it continues on the trajectory that it has been, it's gonna be great. To me, especially with this specific industry of entertainment, and I don't want to pull the curtain back too much. I don't think there's any reason why a person's body parts or genes or whatever should keep them from doing what anyone else was doing. I think that women have proven multiple times, several times over, that they are more than capable of doing what the guys do. And I think for the most part, it really comes down to, will it make sense? You know, can we tell the story effectively? Can we do it safely? And I don't think there's any reason why women can't do it. And I look forward to seeing where women go from this. I know there's been a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but back and forth talk about hardcore matches and women bleeding on TV and things like that. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea personally either. But for every person who doesn't like it, there's somebody that does. And I think if everybody is on board with it and they're having a good time and they're, like I said, they're telling the story, I say go for it. I think it's awesome.
I have to agree with you. Anything men can do, women can do just as well. And the storytelling, and I'm more happy about the storytelling getting better for women and not so watered down and look, just I'm gonna say it's stupid
Mm-hmm.
because oh well, this wrestler is mad at this wrestler because she stole her brush. What? I mean, let's be real. We need just the same amount of respect for women as men, and you can see every day women are knocking it out the park. So that's one of the things that I'm very proud of to see, and could hopefully continue seeing, and like you said, go on that projector of it's wrestling. It, men or women, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. It's just good wrestling.
Absolutely.
So now getting back to your promotion, what so how did you come up with the name of your promotion?
Well, it's on Route 33 in West Virginia. There is actually a little bit more backstory to it, and again, we're kind of digging into some personal stories here. Back in that original training group that I was a part of, when we were bouncing this idea around, we were all throwing company names in the hat, and we came up with a bunch of different ones. And I don't remember if it was me or somebody else that came up with Route 33, but it got shot down immediately. They said, "Oh man, no, you got to go with the three letters, the acronym. That's the only way it's gonna work, you know." And I thought, no, it's sometimes it's okay to be different, you know. And so when I kind of took control of it, or rather started my own thing, I thought, man, I'm using that name. Like it's different. It's got numbers in it. It puts us on the map. People will know where it's at, and that's just how it came about.
And it definitely it sticks out. It because again, I have looked at a lot of professional wrestling in my time, and trying to keep up with all the different promotions, and then the promotions have the same letters as this one. You get so confused, but Route 33 is just, it sticks out. It's like, yeah, that I'm not going to get that confused with any of it.
Right, exactly.
So when getting started with the business, um, what did you decide was going to be the company's mission statement?
Initially, I'm trying to remember what the initial one was because we've changed it. I think the first one was pro wrestling as a tool for positive change. And so the first, I don't think it was the first event, but a couple of our early events, we did, oh goodness, like a fundraiser. I remember for a sexual violence nonprofit. We did a school supply drive, which was really, really cool. We were able to go to all the schools in our area and drop off notebooks and things for different kids. And so we kind of started there. And then now our big thing for giving back is that the Calhoun Cabaret, which is a local community theater that I'm also a part of, we use concessions as a fundraiser for them. So it's kind of giving back to the arts and humanities a little bit. And they're still on the table. We still plan to do different drives and stuff in the future. Nowadays, I say come for the pro wrestling, stay for the community because our fans are so awesome. They all come out. And it really is, everybody knows everybody that comes to the shows now. And I feel like it's really brought not only our town, but some people from out of town kind of into our area. And everyone's kind of made friends with everybody. We've gotten wrestlers from all over the place that are now working with each other. So yeah, that's it kind of started out as like a tool for positive change. And now it's just kind of this feel good, like, come on down, be part of the community, make some friends, have a good time.
I love it. I love it. One of the things that I see a lot, and when I get a chance to go to different indie shows, it's more like almost like a family reunion where you get to see so many people that you see all the time, and you get and the experience that you actually can talk to the wrestlers after the show. You can actually meet them, take pictures with them, and you feel, again, like almost like a family. Everybody's just so positive and just enjoy it. And the family friendly aspect of it, is it can't be beat, because knowing that you have a little kid that looks up to you and sees this, and they're going to remember, and when they grow up they're going to want to take their family and have that same experience with wrestling. Is just such a wonderful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I know Brox has talked about quite a bit. He and Troy, Grappling Inc., man, they love to get out in the crowd and mingle with people and talk to people and make friends with everybody, or enemies sometimes. But yeah, I think that's the beauty, really, of indie wrestling, especially in a small town like Spencer, where I am at. You really can get up close and personal and shake hands with wrestlers and talk to them about their match and see where they're going to be next, and make connections, make friendships. And not only does it bring the crowd back, which is great for the promotion itself, but you do forge these connections, and it makes people way more interested and invested in what's going on in the ring. So
Definitely. So tell us about the championships that you have at Route 33.
sure. So right now we have the Route 33 Wrestling Openweight Championship, which is currently held by the Babushka Baron, Jeffrey John. He just won that a couple events ago. And yeah, he had his first title defense in July against Michael Anthony. We also have the Route 33 Wrestling Tag Team Championships, which are currently held by Grappling Inc. And I'm very excited. We actually just dropped a match announcement for them for September 6th. They will be going up against Gorgeous Morgan Taylor and Big Man Bo Monty on September 6th. I'll just urge everyone to go to Route 33's Facebook page to see the promo that was just dropped because, and anyway. And then we are finishing up a tournament actually on September 6th for the Wild and Wonderful West Virginia Championship. We introduced that at the beginning of the year. It is also an open weight championship. Anybody can vie for it. And we've had this tournament going on since March. And we are down to our two finalists, the unwilting Tatiana and handsome Nick Hamrick. So anyone's guess who's going to win that. They're both fantastic athletes. So I'm really excited to see who's going to be the inaugural Wild and Wonderful West Virginia champion.
Wow, that sounds great. One thing that I'm not a big fan of, but I understand, especially if it's done right, is intergender wrestling matches. What is your take on them?
I go back to what we said about women in wrestling in general. I think if it can, like you said, be done well, if it can make sense, if the story is told, then I say go for it. I actually, my one and only match was an intergender match against Gary Gandy back in 2021. And man, he beat me 16 ways from Tuesday. I'm telling you what. But the crowd was very much into it, and it's one of my prouder achievements. So I'm all about intergender. I think it's great. I think it's interesting. I have seen it done poorly as well. So that is, I think, especially in an area like Spencer, where maybe mindsets are a little more conservative, it can be kind of a toss-up. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the crowd likes it, sometimes they don't. And I know that there can also be a certain level of discomfort in watching that. But I also think within that discomfort, it can be very entertaining and very compelling and make people think a different way, not just about wrestling, but just about people in general. And I always think there's a great underdog story to be told there. In regards to, I guess, traditional gender roles, it's always fun to watch somebody who's considered an underdog in that sort of scenario fight their way through it. So I'm all about it when it works.
Right. So, how long has the company been going now?
Since 2018. So if you don't count 2020 when everything was shut down, that's what, 6 years now. We started in March of 2018. And so this is our, let's see, coming up. I got to count. I got all my event posters in front of me. So 2018. So this will be our 19th event since 2018.
Oh, nice. I know a lot of promotion have their signature big show. What is Route 33's big show?
I would say our March event is usually our big sort of homecoming. We take a break over the winter, generally speaking. So there's always a really big crowd for that. And we tend to introduce some new things, usually in March. We kick things off for the year really big. But I will say we also have started doing a Christmas event every year, Christmas the year, holiday themed, which has been pretty popular. And it's a little different. We do sort of we randomize our matches and our opponents. So it's sort of like we don't know who's coming out of the curtain next. We don't know what the stipulation's going to be, that sort of thing. So I would say March is our biggest one, but December is probably our most interesting one.
All right. And with taking a break during the winter time, have you found that being very helpful towards the business, as far as not being constant as most traditional promotions are?
Yeah, definitely. In 2022, we ran every month between March and September. And not only was our crowd a little bit thinner then, I was also ready to have a heart attack. It was so stressful. There was no downtime. And I said, okay, this is not sustainable. So we backed off. We're now doing every other month and then the December event. And then, like I said, we take a break over the winter. And I find that, you know, this year our crowds have been the biggest they've ever been, which to me, I mean, I'm the promoter. I'm the one that's doing all the advertising and marketing and, like, you know, seeing the tickets are being sold. But it always comes as a little surprise to me when we go out the door to let people in and I see the line going all the way up, you know, to the street. It's always such a good feeling. But yeah, it's a pleasant surprise to me every time. I don't ever want to assume people are going to show up. But they do. They prove me wrong every time. And we seriously, we have the best fans.
It's good. That's good to hear. Support from the fans is nothing else like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, with you being the promoter, do you ever get involved in any other matches or anything?
I have been known a time or two to find my way to the ring. I try to stay out of it as much as possible. As the owner, you know, I want to be unbiased and let things unfold as they do. But there have been times where I've felt my hand forced a little bit, and I have got in between the ropes a little bit. Like I said, 2021, I actually wrestled Gary Gandy, and that was an ongoing thing that had started back in 2019, I think. It's a very long story, but since then, let's see, was it last year? I got to look at my event posters again. 2 years ago, maybe it was. Yeah, 2 years ago. Morgan Taylor was a thorn in my side. And, you know, I tried to give him a chance and he just went off the rails one event and I ran in there and, man, he decked me across the face. I swear I saw Jesus for a second. I say it still hurts when it rains.
Wow.
And then this year I've been having back-to-back issues with a fellow named Michael Anthony, he's a big dude. He goes by the Juggernaut. That's his moniker. When was it, October or November? He tried to put me through a table. That didn't end well. Thankfully, Grappling Inc. was there to kind of stop that. But things kind of came to a head in March this year. I don't even remember who he was up against fighting. I don't know. He gave me a power slam in the ring, took me out. That was really not fun. that hurt a little bit. But I survived. I'm a tough cookie. And so we're still kind of dealing with him. It's been an on and off situation. And he's actually got a street fight coming up next weekend against Hero Napier. That's a whole other story for another time. But yeah, to answer your question after all of that, yeah, on occasion I do get in there. I am trying very hard to get back in as a competitor at some point. Kind of start from square one, get some solid training. Grappling Inc. has been really great about helping me with that. They came down early last event and put me through some drills, which were incredibly difficult. It was also like 100 degrees in the building, so we'll blame the heat and not my physical fitness. But yeah, so there is a tentative goal to kind of actually legitimately get back in there at some point, if I can juggle that with all the mini hats that I wear running the company.
Right. That is definitely a lot, because I was gonna suggest that you get an enforcer to handle some of your light work.
Yes, yeah, I probably should do that. That's one hat I shouldn't be wearing right now.
Oh wow. So with your promotion, have you been able to bring in I don't want to say bigger stars, but more well-known wrestlers? I would say it like that.
A few times, yeah. So actually on our very first event, we had Robbie E. And that's a whole funny story about how he got down here. But he was in a really weird tag match. He teamed up with Gary Gandy, who wrestled Kevin Owens. I think it was in 2017, I think, on SmackDown. And then they teamed up against King Kalua, who is, of course, a decorated vet, I would say, and somebody else. I don't remember who it was. So we had a handful of people there. We also, last year, had Cheeseburger come down and wrestle Nick Hamrick. He did a seminar before the show, which was really, really cool. Very well attended, too. I got to get him back down. He was great. He was really fun to work with. And also, I have to mention Chris LaRusso. People get annoyed with me because I talk about Chris LaRusso so much. For people who might not know, he is one of the best trainers on the East Coast. He's been very active in the Pittsburgh area for the last 21 years, I want to say. And so he actually held one of our championships for quite some time. And he is coming back on November 1st to teach a seminar and to also wrestle. And I'm really hoping to do more business with him moving forward. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I talked about this on Brox's podcast as well. Our Spencer is not what I would refer to as a wrestling town. These are people that occasionally will watch a pay-per-view. If they have the money, they'll go down to see AEW if they come to Charleston. They know who John Cena and Roman Reigns is, but a lot of the nuance of like the indie wrestling stuff is lost on them. And so I try to focus more on working with people that I know and trust and building them up to our fans, coming up with good angles and good matches that the fans are going to relate to, and so they can get that connection with those people.
So kind of in a way, the way you learned, because you didn't start out knowing the business and it was slowly fed to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that is cool. I mean, you look at the amazing job you're doing now, so it can't be wrong.
I mean, yeah, it's worked for us so well, and I'm happy with where it's going, and everybody else seems to be pretty happy too. So
that's good. That's good. If I wanted to watch your promotion, could I?
You could, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So we're on YouTube. We have some throwback matches up there, but we actually just recently, last week, actually launched our Patreon. We are slowly but surely, we're behind a little bit. My fault. We are slowly but surely getting our library of previous shows uploaded to our Patreon. So that will be available. I am like 2 years behind on it. So, because I do all the editing and stuff as well.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I wear a lot of hats. Yeah. So we're actively working on that. There are several shows up there now that can be watched starting in 2021 and moving forward. We just got March and May of 2023 finished, so through there. But yeah, we got lots of content on our YouTube as well. We're all over social media, and of course we have our live events coming up September 6th. Where are you located, Professor?
I am in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay. So that's a little bit of a hike at least.
Yeah, just a tad bit.
I tell you what, well, if you ever make it to a show, give me a call. We'll get you in.
All right. I would definitely take you up on that offer because I am definitely trying to travel more and to see different promotions. So I got a big map of, okay, I'm going here, I'm going there. So I will add you to that.
Excellent. Yes.
Wow. So what would you say is your best show in y'all's wrestling history?
Oh man. Whew, that is a tough one. I'm looking at my posters again. You can't see I have event posters from all of our events in front of me with everybody's face and autograph on them. It's kind of my little collection. I would say, well, crowd-wise, I will say that our biggest event ever was March of 2023. That was the first time we actually had to put out more chairs and we already had like 200 chairs out, and people were coming in, and I saw people that I hadn't seen in years showing up, and I'm like, what's going on? But I will also say the event right before that, which was September of 2022, the end of that super crazy year. And hopefully I'm not just biased, because I was very stressed out, and it was like everything came to a head that show. That show, there was a lot of emotional payoff. Namely, we had a huge title change happen. AJ Alexander had been carrying our open weight championship since the previous year, since early the previous year. And he had this on and off ongoing feud with Riley Rose, who both of these guys, excellent talents, insanely talented people, very charismatic. And it came down to a 2 out of 3 falls match, which was the main event for the September event, which was the very end of the year for us, running monthly for the first time. And so there was a lot of other stuff going on that day. My husband ended up with COVID, and he found out like 2 days before. And I'm like, he's my right-hand man. He helps me with setup and everything else, and like managing the people in the locker room and everything. And so I was like, oh crap, like I'm gonna have to do this by myself. So luckily the locker room really rallied around me that event, and we got through it, and it went really, really well. And somewhere one of these days I'll send you the video of it. When Riley Rose got to his feet at the count of 9 after putting AJ through a table, the crowd, I don't think I've ever seen them go so ballistic. There were people crying. There's a shot of this girl jumping up and down on her feet like she won the lottery. It was insane. And for our year to end on that note, I cried a lot. I was a mess by the end of the night. It was just a huge payoff, I think, not only for the fans, but for the wrestlers and for myself. It was a huge accomplishment after a very, very long year. So I would say those 2 events were probably our biggest. But like I said, this year our crowd continues to grow. People continue to show up. Things continue to heat up. So it's anyone's guess where we go next.
Well, that is a great segue, because I was going to ask, where do you see Route 33 in 5 years? Where would you like to see it?
Where would I like to see it? Well, I would just like to see the crowd continue to grow. One thing that we are experimenting with next year is trying a different venue, which is in one town over. Try and get more people in the doors that don't normally make it out to Spencer, even though like our communities are pretty tightly knit. A lot of people come to Spencer on a regular basis because that's where Walmart is, and there's a lot of other sites. It's a very rural area. So, but we're going to try a couple events, one town over, see how that goes. I would just like to see it continue to grow. I would like to see the roster to continue to grow, and not only grow in size, but also grow in skill. I like watching people that work for us continue to improve themselves, which is why, again, I'm going to urge people to come to the seminar on November 1st. But yeah, I think just continuing to make connections and just having a good time. That's pretty much it. That's the goal.
Would you be open to working with another promotion to exchange talent?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're kind of unofficially doing that now a little bit. Honestly, weirdly enough, we don't actually have a lot of West Virginia based wrestlers working our events. We have recently had a few, but most of our people come from out of town. A lot of Pittsburgh people, a lot of Baltimore people. We work closely, I don't want to say closely, but we collaborate a bit with EWA in Baltimore, as well as Renaissance Rumble. A lot of our tag teams came from Renaissance Rumble when we did our tournament in 2022. Renaissance Rumble helped me organize all of that. Thank God for them, because that was a huge undertaking. But yeah, and like I said, a lot of people from the Pittsburgh area. I'm always watching stuff online and reaching out to people. And I have people reaching out to me as well. And of course, when you have wrestlers like Brox and Troy also who know tons of people and who train people and they have their podcasts and they have people coming on, it's connection to connection to connection. So we all end up in touch, and eventually they show up and we give them a camera to film with, and then they end up reffing or whatever. and eventually they find themselves on the card. So but yeah, I would love to do like a cross promotion thing at some point if it made sense. Even in regards to championships, I know that the Route 33 tag team championships have been defended elsewhere. Thankfully defended, not lost. Brox. So yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great idea, a great collaboration.
That's good to hear. Well, we're getting to the point of the interview that I would love for you to give your shout outs to people, let people know where they can find you, find Route 33, and just promote.
Okay, here we go. Oh God, hopefully I don't forget anybody. So first and foremost, gotta give a shout out to my husband, Josh, who I hope is watching from upstairs. He's the reason I'm still doing this. He's like I said, my right-hand man. He's the one that helps set up the ring and get the chairs set up, and he deals with a lot of the finer details that slip through the cracks. He was the one that kind of started training me 11 years, or how many years ago did I say? Yeah, 11 years ago. So that's the big one. Also have to give a massive shout out to the Calhoun Cabaret, particularly Mercy Collins and John Collins. The Calhoun Cabaret is, like I said, a small community theater based in Calhoun County, West Virginia. And I'm a part of it as well. Singing, acting, dancing, comedy, the works. Mercy is insane. She writes all the shows. She choreographs everything. She directs everything. She herself performs as well. And she takes photos of all of our events for us and edits them all. And I'm talking thousands on thousands of photos. And her husband, John, is the guy that does sound and lighting for us on all of our events. And he's a top-notch dude. He is also one of those people that just like, if you say, hey, John, do you have a knife or a screwdriver? He just like has one. He just like it is a walking toolbox, basically. And he's also a mechanical engineer. So that comes in handy a lot of times for little last minute technical emergencies on our events. So they're awesome. I would encourage everybody to follow the Calhoun Cabaret on Instagram. Lots of great photography on there. And of course, I would love to promote Mercy's events for her. She does an amazing job. Let's see, who else? Have to give a shout out to Chris LaRusso for being one of the boss lady. I know your name, I promise.
Yeah,
Lord.
That was a little slip of the tongue between me and him. We had an earlier story of us starting a Patreon page, and he's like, "Hey, who's your guest?" I was like, "I'll let you tell it," because honestly, I and no disrespect, I blanked on your name, and so I was like, "Oh, okay, he got me." And he's like, "Well, I don't remember." I was like, "Oh my God, we both suck so bad."
Oh my God. I forgive you. It's fine. Yeah, no, I'm horrible with names, especially when I have somebody like walk on the event and they're like, "My name is so-and-so." And I try to tell them like, I appreciate and respect you and thank you for coming to help. I'm not going to remember your name or your face by the end of the night, but find me on Facebook and we'll talk, Yeah, I'm the same way. But yeah, so I'll shout out Chris LaRusso. Like I said, super encouraging person. I started working with him in 2019. Awesome guy, super professional. Seminar on November 1st. Every wrestler should come to this. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, top-notch dude, very, very knowledgeable, has been a huge helpful resource and source of support as far as wrestling goes. So thank you. Who else? Hero Napier for being my venue safety protocol manager, which is a new thing we started. because a lot of our wrestlers, we have certain rules about matches, what they can and can't do. We try to keep things family friendly. We try to keep things relatively low risk in regards to as low risk as wrestling can be. And I had somebody say, "Oh, I'm just gonna do a triple moonsault to the floor," and Hero is always the one that says, "No, you're not. You're not gonna do that. That's stupid. You're not on television. Stop it." Um, and I always send I send the talent to either my husband or Hero before an event, and I say, "Please talk things over. I don't have time for this, but make sure that what they're doing is not gonna result in somebody getting killed or maimed." Hero's been great. Who else can I thank? Oh my God, there's so many people. Jeff Ray John, the Babushka Baron, has been doing a wonderful job carrying our openweight championship. I'm very excited to see this match coming up with him. He is wrestling Iron Mike Bonner on September 6th. That's going to be a top-notch match, I can tell you right away. There's a lot of people I will thank that I can't because the curtain will be pulled back too much, so I won't name those people. I will thank the city of Spencer. They are the ones that have sponsored our Wild and Wonderful West Virginia Championship tournament this year. And Mayor Terry Williams has been fantastic. He has been so generous and supportive and helpful to us in any way. If it's show day when we walk in and something in the venue is broken, I know I can call Terry up and be like, "Hey, can you send somebody down to fix this?" And he's on it like that. Kayla at Smoker Friendly, she is an absolute hero. She actually, one of her first events that she came to was easily our worst event that we have ever had. It was June of 2022. And we had maybe 30 people show up. There was a festival going on a town over that we didn't realize until the week of the show. And so nobody came. It was a disaster. But she came back and she got Smoker Friendly to sponsor us more than once. They're actually a sponsor on this upcoming event. But not only that, she also sells tickets for us. She hangs flyers for us. She talks up the shows to everyone she knows. And she's a social butterfly. So that has been really, really helpful. And then I have to thank Jason at Groves Auto and Adam at Twister's Garage for being our most consistent sponsors this entire time. Both of these guys not only have supported Route 33 Wrestling, but they've supported me personally because my car is 20 years old. And when something inevitably falls off of it, like it does on a regular basis, I can go to either one of them and they get me back on the road. Adam was actually here at my house on Sunday helping me put a headlight back in my car that fell out. So if that is an endorsement you can count on, the boss lady says Twister's Garage or Groves Auto for all of your car maintenance needs. Yeah. And just in general. Oh, actually, there are two more specific people I have to mention. Jess Fisher, who has been running our merch table for us for the last 2 or 3 years. She also helps with tickets. She texts me throughout the show if there's something going on, if she needs something, if there's a problem with the fans or something's broken. She's on it, and she helps my dad at the ticket table, who I also have to thank for always showing up and selling tickets at the ticket table. Jess is the man, so to speak. And then Erica Greathouse, who shows up to every event with literally no expectations, and she's just ready to catch me if I fall, basically. She's awesome. And also a lot of these people work for the Calhoun Cabaret as well and are extremely talented. I was very lucky this past event, which was July 4th weekend, to do my first ever duet with Erica singing, which was a huge fear to overcome, but she made it super easy. So Erica, and she also hangs flyers for us too. So I like to say that Route 33 is a one-woman show a lot of the time, but there are so many people that help me, which is, it's such a blessing. But yeah, to anyone else that I may have forgotten to mention, because there are too many to count, thank you. You know who you are, and I super appreciate you. And as far as where you can find us online, we are on Route 33 Wrestling is on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're kind of on Threads when the content wants to cross post. So you can follow us there. I can't guarantee you'll see anything exciting. We also have an official website, route33wrestling.weebly.com, where I post tons of stuff, information about signing up for the seminar, especially. And we, like I said, we also just started our Patreon last week. It's still kind of in progress. We're still kind of building things up, but there is some content on there that you can watch now, and we'll be working on getting monthly memberships and stuff rolling for that. I think that's everywhere we are.
Wow. So it's been a pleasure talking with you. If I could lend some of my wisdom, I would suggest that you get someone that can help you navigate through some of this and let some of the smaller stuff go. Because oh my God, I've heard so many people talk about, well, I do a lot. I'm just hearing the stuff you do and I'm tired. I'm ready to go take a nap. So
Listen, naps are how I survive. Naps and coffee. And you know, you mentioned kind of delegating some tasks. I have started doing that a little bit with the flyers. Like I said, Kayla's been helping me. Erica's been helping me. Jess helps me a lot. Jess Fisher. I have a lot of people that hang flyers for me because I used to do it by myself, or me and my husband would do it. And it would take a good couple days to cross all the towns that we wanted to cross and go in and out of all these buildings and buy a lot of tape and thumbtacks, you know. So that's a huge time saver that we've just started doing, is kind of saying, okay, somebody else can handle this. That's why I also have Hero on show days, of like, you know, be the liaison between the locker room and me, because right now I have to tape all these wires down and charge my camera and everything else. So
well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me. Definitely, you have an open invitation here anytime. When you get ready to do a big show and need to promote it, feel free to reach out to me and we will make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's no problem. Guys, girls, thank you so much for coming and sitting campfire with my guest, the boss lady, and myself. We have done such a tremendous job of just hopefully entertaining you and making your wrestling experience just a little bit better. And with one other big news, as Boss Lady is talking about, they started their Patreon page. We have started ours today.
What?
Yes, we have a Patreon page and we would love for you to go. We have some exclusive content. We have one great show called WrestleBrania, and we have a special guest, former WWE Women's Champion, Divas Champion, actually, Julian Hall, is on the show. So only thing, it costs you $1 to see that great episode. I mean, hey, $1. What can you buy with $1 now? You can buy a 2-hour great entertainment. So please, if you feel free, go check out our Patreon page. And again, once again, thank you, because without you, the fans, there will be no me, Professor Bear. And we'll see you around the campfire next time on the Bear's Thought. Thank you so much.